museum management, which is a very common major for all of us.
It's like psych.
Yeah, it's like psych. Poli-sci. Dropped out after freshman year. At the College of William and Mary. After she read the history of an 1870s Pittsburgh home that had belonged to one of her ancestors, Betsy was inspired to research house histories for a living. She lives with her husband Galen in historic South Park. Pennsylvania got a couple claps. South Park always draws the applause. Betsy Wilson.
We fill up the places we live with our stuff, our relationships and busy lives, our emotions. Sometimes we stop to wonder about those who occupied these spaces before us, and also filled this same space with their lives, their things, their emotions. Sometimes they leave a little piece behind. On this tree-lined street in South Park was a home hiding a glimpse of its past life. For 7 decades, the last remnants of an old romance lay hidden under a low shelf in a closet. Not until the current owners renovated the room and removed the shelf did they discover what was lying just out of sight. As you can see by the staining of this paper, they had lain undisturbed for many years. The letters were addressed to Miss Dorothy Rost. One envelope had the return address of the exponent, University of Dayton, and the other was postmarked April 17, 1924, in Cleveland, Ohio. These were the initial clues I followed. Finding out about Dorothy was easy. The 1920 census showed the Rosts at 265 South Park: Walter, Elizabeth, Henry, and 13-year-old Dorothy. In 1924, when she received these letters, she was 17, listed in the Dayton City Directory as a student. The first letter was simply dated Tuesday evening. Vida mia. You say that's the way to say it. I suppose it is. At any rate, you are my sweetheart. I'm taking no chances, you notice. I told you in English, to be sure. Don't know why I'm writing this. I just had to say something to you before I went to bed. You don't mind, do you? I wish I, too, had a picture I could put under my pillow. I was thinking of you all day today, trying to figure out what you were thinking of last night when I left. When you look the way you did last night, I hate to leave you. No wonder I'm always late. But I can't leave you when I know I should be with you. I wonder sometimes if you realize I love you. I do, and I'd do anything in the world for you. With loads of love, Dick. So who was Dick? I took my clues to Rachel Vilikonski at the University of Dayton archives. She provided the relevant copies of the Exponent, which turned out to be the student magazine, and the yearbooks from 1923 to 27. I searched for a Richard from Cleveland. Aha!
Dick!
A Richard Orwell on the staff of the Exponent, and pictured somewhere in this photo. He was a chemistry major from Cleveland and manager of the football team, about to graduate in the spring of 1924. Was he Dorothy's sweetheart? But I also found another Richard from Cleveland. Richard Snelling, nicknamed Ash. To quote from the yearbook, an athlete par excellence, an average student, and the best He played basketball, baseball, and football all 4 years while majoring in commerce and finance. He graduated in 1927, which made him a freshman in the spring of 1924. So who wrote to Dorothy Rost? Dick Horwigel, who was on the Exponent staff, or Dick Snelling, the sports star, closer to Dorothy's age, who may have borrowed an Exponent envelope from a friend or roommate?
Dick one!
Let's go on to Cleveland. Just a line to let you know, I still love you and think of you always. We rode over to East 105th Street and got some ice cream, then home, and here I am wishing you were here. We could have such a good time. The weather is perfect, a splendid day to go hiking in the woods with you. We'll do that this summer, won't we? I gave Jane the Easter egg today. She sure was pleased with it. She will probably write and thank you for it. My estimation of Jane's age was way off. She's only 9 years old. Terrible dumb of me, eh? Boys will be boys, not interested in ages. This is Florence's stationery and Mother's pen. I can hardly use the pen, so please excuse the terrible writing. Think I'd better be going to bed now, Dorsey. Terrible tired. Didn't sleep much last night on the train. Again, I was thinking of you and last night. Terribly sorry about last night. You'll never know how near you came to killing me. I didn't know what to think. bad, Richard. You tried to be so good. That was the worst I ever felt. There are some significant clues in this letter. He mentions going for ice cream on 105th Street, which implies it might be nearby. Jane, who is only 9, and this is Florence's pen. This sound like sisters. Next stop in our search, the 1920 census. Here's the Snelling family living on East 115th Street.
Where?
Where? There's the Snelling family on 116th Street. Not far from the ice cream store with children Charles, Florence, Richard, and Jane. And the clincher, Jane is 5 years old, which would make her 9 in 1924. We have found our man.
Take 2.
The Snelling house is still there today. It didn't have aluminum siding when Dick wrote Dorothy, but with a little imagination, you can see him coming down the porch stairs and getting in his roadster, ready to drive back to Dayton, to school, and to Dorothy. The romance between Dick and Dorothy did not last. We don't know when it ended or why. After Dorothy graduated from high school, she worked as a stenographer, and in 1931 married Joseph Williamson, owner of a cigar store in the lobby of the Van Cleve Hotel in downtown Dayton. Dick's senior yearbook said, "We're pulling for his success," when he hits the rails for Washington and the big leagues in June. But the Depression may have curtailed that. In the 1930 census, Dick was living at home with his parents, the owner of a window washing company. He later married and moved to Springfield, Ohio, where he died of a heart attack at the age of 45. After her mother's death, Dorothy and her husband moved back to the house on Park Drive to live with her father. When did she hide these letters? As a girl with a broken heart, or later as a married woman? Why did she hide them instead of just destroying them? And did she ever get them out to remember the college student who had once loved her? My thanks to Carrie Cross and Rachel Vilikonski of the UD Archives for their research assistance, and to Jill Davis and Nick Reeder, who discovered these letters, for letting me share this story tonight. Every house has a story. Does yours?
Now I understand why South Park gets so many applause every time it's mentioned. You guys live in like 50 Shades of Grey.